It's time we talk about the second DLC for Final Fantasy XVI, The Rising Tide. We talked about the first one, Echoes of the Fallen, and our conversation about that was a little less than flattering. But if you didn't play it or you missed that video, the link is up here in the bubble thing that pops up. But comparing this one to Echoes of the Fallen, man, the experience is night and day. I'll stay away from major spoilers, but I really want to talk about this. Being fully transparent, Square Enix did provide us with a copy of the DLC, but honestly, that doesn't matter. I've made over 10 videos assassinating or shitting on this game for its flaws and then praising it for its strengths. As always, we'll talk about the good, the Solace, and the bad, the Dread. Gifted to us or not, I'll be honest anyway, since they certainly didn't pay me. I'm Solace, this is Solace and Dread. We produce analytical content primarily focused on Square Enix, Nintendo, and Capcom publications. If you want more nuanced discussions about gaming, please hit the like button to let us and YouTube know. So, the first DLC expansion was an attempt on fleshing out the world of Valisthea. Like it really needed that, right? As if the dry-ass side quests in the base game didn't do that enough, but whatever. Particularly, there were some things that were kind of like glossed over in the main playthrough. This is really not much different because this is about Leviathan, the Lost, and he was kind of glossed over in the main game, and notably was missing. Hell, even in Namesake. This DLC is far more immersive and complete than the past one, taking Clive to a new locale and gives a few completely new fights. I was actually kind of surprised at how much I enjoyed my time in this DLC, but it wasn't really enjoyable until we got to the end. We'll get there. All this to say, if you played or watched someone play Echoes of the Fallen and you decided that you were good without buying this one, it is slightly better and has more to offer. It really is that simple. Echoes of the Fallen felt like it should have been present in the main game. There were a couple of more like slightly interesting fights and a super boss that was really only difficult because I hadn't played the game in so long. But The Rising Tide, I spent my time playing through all of Final Fantasy mode on New Game Plus leading up to this just so my hands wouldn't be cold. And Leviathan beat the brakes off of me. We'll get to that. You can skip to this time code down here if you don't want to know what happens. I'm going to talk about what happens in the story. Clive gets a letter that's begging for his help because the bearer of Leviathan's icon is in danger, and he is the only dude that can resolve the sitch. So you roll up to this island that's like hidden from view by magic. It's actually called a glamour, right? In a very self-aware manner, they even fix the ugly skies of Valisthea while you're on the island. You find a bearer who is a fucking baby. Yeah, and the baby is frozen in suspended animation. And like Clive, he's like, well, guess I gotta murder this kid. Probably, maybe. I mean, if I have to, better to kill him than let him live in infinite torture, right? Because turns out the baby is frozen in time by their ancestors in an attempt to control the icon. So, yeah, he's kind of right. So, first, Clive decides, hey, I'm going to take Leviathan's powers out, right? But he makes it very clear that if this baby flips out, he's going to fucking fight this baby. No ifs, ands, or buts, right? So they go up to the magic temple after he takes the powers, and they fight the guardian who's protecting the mother crystal that's keeping this little murder baby frozen. But obviously, murder baby gets pissed when you unfreeze him, and baby Gyarados decides he's gonna destroy the entire island, right? So Clive's gotta stroll down there as a freak. They duke it out. They close up some plot holes via exposition. Boom, that's a DLC. Ta-da! Now that we've said what it is, let's talk about the good, the Solace. Firstly, thank God they fixed the sky. This area, Mysidia, is undoubtedly the most beautiful in the game, giving off some like Final Fantasy X jungle vibes mixed with like Chrono Cross Dead Sea feels, right? And unlike in Echoes of the Fallen, you get some new icon abilities like right off the bat. I didn't like them. They don't fit my play style, but if you were one of the people who liked long range builds, then Leviathan's abilities are going to blow your hair back for sure. You also get a second set of new abilities, and I'm not going to say what they are, just know that you get them after completing the main scenario in the DLC, and they're really fucking awesome. Like, they're really good. But that's also another perk. Once you finish it, there's bonus challenge content, and that's accessible from the Arete Stone, and it's probably the hardest possible content in the entire game. Like, harder than anything in the base game, harder than anything in the DLCs. So if your issue with this game is the difficulty being too watered down for an action game, this very much answers to that. Placing restrictions on like items, stats, your equipment, making you face some truly tough fights. It's grueling, it's brutal. But beyond this, the difficulty of Leviathan is quite a spike over the rest of the game. The Guardian that you fight right before Leviathan is already close to, if not on par, with Omega Weapon. Then going into an icon fight with Levi, they really put you to the test. They rake you across the coals. It was not easy at all. They set up the fight so you really have to know what you're doing with Ifrit. They made you call on like all of the lessons that you previously learned using your icon. So if you haven't played the game in a while, it's gonna hurt. I died somewhere in the neighborhood of like 10 times on Final Fantasy mode. It's not a fight that you can really brute force your way through, unlike everything else in the game. You have to know what you're doing. And yeah, that means trial and error. I gathered that a lot of people had some frustrations with this based on what my Twitch chat was saying, which, by the way, we stream over there, come hang out. But I actually enjoyed the challenge. After literally just stomping everything in the base game and in Echoes DLC on Final Fantasy mode, which is the hard mode, I needed something that would make me sweat, and I'm glad that this delivered. Also, the music, as always, was great from Soken. The effect for the rain was some of the best I've seen in a video game in recent history, and despite needing to get to the end of the DLC to enjoy the best parts of it, finishing it leaves you feeling rewarded, and that's important, right? But the lead up to that point is a pain in the ass. So let's talk about the bad, or the dread. This is 2 DLCs now that they have had an opportunity to make more engaging side quests that vary your gameplay, and they have still failed to do so. They give you some armor that's easily better than the best in the base game with no work to get it. That's kind of a slap in the face. They send you on silly fetch quests to get flowers. They send you on quests to go kill some really easy random mobs. And it's a long-winded conversation to get access to your chocobo in that area, but you're only there for like, a couple hours because the DLC is only 3 hours long. And all of it was the same like middling side quest structure in the base game. Even if it does do the job of fleshing out that island in a clumsily obvious way, I can't care about these characters that I just met that I'm only going to be involved with for 3 hours. The writing for them isn't groundbreaking either. It's just exposition on this tiny 3-hour island that you're never going to visit again. Who cares? Anyway, why make the players sit through that? The time length, while it is better than Echoes, it doesn't really justify a want to pick this game entirely back up for some people. If you're not like a super fan of Final Fantasy or 16 specifically, this is possibly not enough for you to want to pay $20 to pick this game back up. And you can't even access this DLC until you are at the very, very end of the base game, and after you've done prerequisite quests on top of that. So, I mean, it's not as big of a gripe, but like, you pay for this, but like you really got to be at the very end of the game to even get utilization out of it. Lastly, they explain the plot hole of Leviathan missing in a bit of a silly way, and they didn't actually commit to the answer for it, right? Like they speculate and hum and haw as to why Ultima never really sent Clive over there to pick up Leviathan, but they never actually commit to stating why. I paid for this answer. That's the whole reason that a lot of the lore fans want to find out where Leviathan is to know why he was lost. I mean, you know why he's lost, but you don't know why Ultima, who knew where he was, did not send you over there, and you never will find out. So that's a bit more of a that's me being a lore head. I'm a little bit annoyed with that, but it's fine. Linking everything together, is it better than Echoes? Yeah, it's a lot better. Is it worth your time? That depends on how much you enjoyed Final Fantasy 16. I don't put numbered ratings on things ever, but if I did, I would say that if you thought that Final Fantasy 16 was like a 6, between a 6 and a 10, I'd say you would probably enjoy picking this up, right? If you thought it was a 5 or below, maybe skip it. Despite me constantly shitting on Final Fantasy 16, I do love this game more than most of the other Final Fantasies. No joke. It's in my top 15 games of all time, you know? I'm harsh on it because I want greatness from it, and it's so close to achieving it, but it just refuses to do so. But this DLC is hard, and it scratches the right itch, and I don't regret playing through Final Fantasy mode to, get back to it. I'm glad my time wasn't wasted, and it's difficult to close the door on Final Fantasy 16 forever, but this is it. This is the final DLC pack, and we only have the future to look forward to. I'm just glad that my time investment wasn't a complete waste, because I really did enjoy what I came up to find at the very end. I always said that this doesn't need DLC, and my feelings on it may not have changed, but I did enjoy them. Now we can look forward to Remake Part 3 for Final Fantasy 7 or Final Fantasy 17 for the Final Fantasy franchise, and maybe even get that long-rumored Final Fantasy 9 remake. That's it from me. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon, and long live the Turtle Kingdom.